The Senzo Meyiwa murder trial continues at the High Court sitting in Pretoria. We take a look at proceedings so far. We're joined by Mpumelelo Zikalala, who is a legal analyst, as Sergeant Musia has been cross-examined today. Mr. Zikalala, perhaps let's just revisit events from yesterday, the state calling a traditional healer. From the work that you do, how are traditional healers treated in court? Are they not treated like you would a medical doctor in terms of patients that come to see them and them enjoying that privacy or right to their information being protected?
Good evening, good afternoon to you and also to your viewers. Yes, they are, but you must remember that the only privilege which is ultimate in this case would be that of a client and a legal practitioner. So when it comes to medical doctors, a medical doctor can be subpoenaed to come and give evidence in a court of law. So once they've been caught by the court or subpoenaed by the court to come and be witnesses, then the client or the patient and medical practitioner privilege goes out the window, and they are forced to come and spill the beans in terms of what was happening within that particular stage. But in this one, I did not think that it's really assisted the case, the state in this case, because he didn't go into details as to what they came to about. So there was no indirect confession that was made stating that this is what we have done, someone has died. He simply says someone will email. There could be various versions of saying someone has been injured. So it did not bolster the case of the state in any case, but I think it added to the drawing up of the bigger picture and what the state would want to do, especially drawing a very good impression from the side of the judge in terms of saying, look at how planned this whole process was. They even thought about going to the traditional healer even after doing the bad deed, because they knew that there were going to be repercussions if they were going to be there. But in terms of what the normal manner of doing things would have been done, a traditional healer would not be called. But I think in this case, the state is saying we're going to go all out because we need to come back with the conviction in this case.
He was not able to identify any one of those men, merely just mentioning a surname, and that could belong to anybody in South Africa.
Definitely. And you must also look into how many people would go to a traditional healer. When did they go? Plus minus more than a decade ago. Or even further. Then the question is, can you be able to remember someone that you consulted with that you do not see on a daily basis? You've only spent plus minus not more than an hour with them. How accurate are you that this is the individual that they are referring to? So if they are not going to provide those intimate details, if I was the prosecution in this case, I wouldn't have even called them, because they are not going to assist this matter in going anywhere. The only evidence which is going to be crucial is place those particular individuals at the scene of the crime, place them within the planning stages of this particular crime so that you're able to fit in, or you point the doctrine of common purpose to everyone that is there, and then speak about the motivation which they would have, so the motivating factor that would have fueled them to engage in this particular act. If you are able to do that and find credible evidence, and your expert witnesses are able to point to that, then you're going to come with the conviction. In this case, the traditional healer did not assist in any manner.
From the work that you do, is it unusual? Do you find traditional healers taking to the stand in South Africa and giving evidence?
No, not at all. Or even though they're not barred from doing so, they can go to court and the state has the ability to call them, but they don't usually add any additional info to whatever which evidence which is required. So the court is very clear. It says, look at the elements of the crime. This is what you need to come. We need to come to. This is what needs to be proved. If you're not able to prove all those things, then it doesn't matter. When it comes to motive, maybe you can go to another manner, but at the end of the day, they don't really add any value to the evidence which is required by the court.
Hop on to today's proceeding. Sergeant Musia, even when he was wrapping up his testimony the last time, indicating that he is tired with this process, but unfortunately for him, he's back on the stand today. This is how his cross-examination went.
The first entry in page number 1,
on Sunday 26th October.
Utige ngesonto gate 26 October 2014.
Kineseke update pocket book entsha.
Now that entry was when I was updating the new pocket book.
Okay. But whether you were updating or whether you what, my question is, The other cases that you testified about here in court that we have attended, they are not included in this exhibit. Am I correct? They will be in the other pocketbook.
Case A1, on page 1.
It does appear, particularly on page number 1.
Yeah, it's 02:30 hours Hussein.
That was in the morning, and the time is 2:30 in the morning.
Address I think in Ndelangozi, extension 14, Fosloras.
And the address is that of Ndelangozi, extension 14 in Fosloras. Now, that is the case that compelled me to leave the crime scene.
Okay. Record. Let's read the real one. For the 7 o'clock on the 27th of October, departure from home to the office.
Okay.
According to your evidence here in court, at 6 o'clock you were at the crime scene until the arrival of Colonel Msasho and other colleagues. You remained at the scene. But this contradicts your evidence. This contradicts with your evidence.
Ke tla kopa tshwarelo ka seola se ke hlalositse hore ke ne ke sena ditokomane tse felletseng ha ne ke prepare evidence ya ka in chief.
I understand, and I'm apologizing on that very note, because I've already indicated that I did not have necessary documents at the time that I was preparing my evidence in chief.
Okay. So what are you saying with your evidence in chief? Regarding this, regarding what is revealed now in the vehicle register?
I do not dispute that. I do not have the necessary capacity or ability to compile all the documents that I have needed in preparation of this particular case.
Mpumelelo Zikalala, Mr. Musia's logbook came into sharp focus during cross-examination, and to his admission, he wasn't fully prepared. How did this assist the state, if at all?
It does not really assist the state. I think for the side of the defense, it adds to the holes in which it's poking. Remember, the defense is looking at instances in which it's saying, this is the probability that may have happened. You may have dropped the ball in your investigation. Now, within the course and scope of the investigation, your training is of the utmost importance. The manner in which you gather evidence is the utmost important. Because you're going to remember every crime scene that you deal with, then your pocketbook becomes your Bible, because that's when you're going to record things while they're still fresh in your mind. If they're recorded incorrectly, if evidence is then provided in court, viva voce incorrectly, it then means between the pocketbook and you, someone is lying. And the probability of the evidence that you presented in court also comes into doubt, dealing or coming directly to the burden of proof in which the state has in proving the innocence or guilt of the individuals that are there. So highlighting these particular instances then says to the court, here you have an investigating officer who does not really know what he was doing. You have Mr. Musia who does not really understand the importance of him collecting the evidence that he was ought to collect. In the collection of the evidence, there might have been mistakes, and those mistakes, those that have led to the accused being in the accused box, and you may have individuals that are incorrect being tried for this charge. This is what the defense is trying to prove. But from the side of the state, they're going to say everything has been done correctly. Any mistakes that might have happened, they are simply human errors. They are not material enough in order to warrant for those particular individuals to be discharged from the crimes in which they've been charged. So everything has been done according to plan. But it posed to a very good lesson, especially for the SAPS members, to say those pocketbooks become your Bible. They're going to become very important later. So it is crucial that you report accurately, make sure that everything is written down legibly, because you can't remember everything. And there are many crime scenes that you visit. So that you don't conflict or confuse crime scenes, just make sure that you record everything correctly.
Mpumelelo, when are we going digital? Is 2023?
I would have hoped by this time we would have got there. I would have hoped that maybe through the intervention of COVID, we would have seen the importance of going digital. But I still think it's a long way to go. And it's simply going to assist us in terms of and making sure that you're able to collect this crucial evidence. A simple thing like having your body cam would be able to assist, because your body cam was going to become the black book or the pocket book which is required, and it's going to be evidence which is going to be collected. It's going to have sound recordings, visual recordings, everything that has taken place within the crime scene is not going to be left to the imagination of the legal practitioners, also the presiding officer. It's going to be something which is accurate. And by the way, maybe the state is going to come back and say it's too expensive, but it costs more to sit in these trials every single day. For example, how long have we sat for this Meyiwa trial since it has started? For sure, with the intervention of all this new technology that comes in a regular basis, we would have half the time in which Captain Musia would have been in the dock. So the intervention of technology, making sure that we're able to move up with the times, is something in which I think the Ministry of Police and certainly the Ministry of Justice should think about in fighting crime.
Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Mpumelelo Zikalala is a legal analyst. Let's remind you, stories